Have you checked your GMT-800's brake fluid in the last 6 months? No. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that could cost you $3,000. But it's not the brake fluid that's the real problem. It's what it's hiding. I talked to a GM technician who spent 22 years working exclusively on GMT-800s. He retired in 2022. You know how many Silverados from this generation he saw die from catastrophic failure? 11. In 22 years, 11 trucks. And when I asked him what killed the others, the ones that showed up with 240, 280, 320,000 miles and were still running, he told me something I didn't expect. It's not the engine. It's not the transmission. It's 7 things the owner never checks. 7 things that kill a GMT-800 silently. Today, you're going to know exactly what they are. Let's go. Number 1, brake fluid, but not for the reason you think. GMT-800 brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture from the air. In 3 years, the fluid that was clear is brown. In 5, it's black. And the moisture isn't just lowering the boiling point. It's corroding the master cylinder from the inside out. I've seen a GMT-800 master cylinder lock up on the highway because the owner never changed the fluid. The pedal went to the floor, 0 brakes, at 70 miles an hour. What he showed me, a brake fluid flush costs $80. A new master cylinder with labor, between $900 and $1,400. And here's the detail nobody talks about. If the fluid is black, the master cylinder is already on its way out. You just don't know it yet. What to check? Fluid color. If it's not clear or slightly golden, change it now. And after you change it, write down the mileage. Change it every 2 years regardless of color. This hose right here, he pointed behind the intake manifold, has killed more 5.3 engines than running them low on oil. The GMT-800's PCV valve sits hidden behind the engine. The hose dries out from the heat and cracks. When it cracks, the engine starts pulling unfiltered air. That throws off the air-fuel mixture, raises combustion chamber temperature, and starts carbonizing the piston rings. The owner thinks it's just a rough idle. It's not. The engine's eating dust through its back. In 18 months, oil consumption. In 24, blew smoke out the exhaust. In 30, engine torn apart. $4,500. What to check? Squeeze the PCV hose with your hand. If it's stiff like plastic or crumbling at the tip, replace it. The hose costs $30. The engine, $4,500. I've replaced 47 alternators on GMT-800s. You know how many had factory defects? 3. The other 44 died because of the corroded positive terminal. The GMT-800 battery sits on the passenger side near the grille. Rain, car washes, humidity. The positive terminal builds up blue corrosion. That corrosion creates electrical resistance. The alternator works twice as hard to compensate, overheats, and dies in 12 months. The owner replaces the alternator, puts in a new one. 6 months later, it dies again. And he thinks the alternator is bad. The alternator is the victim. The culprit is the dirty terminal. What to check? Disconnect the positive terminal. If there's blue or white powder, clean it with hot water and baking soda. Apply dielectric grease before reconnecting. 2 minutes of work. New alternator. $350 installed. This one is silent until the day it's not. The GMT-800 has a rubber boot at the base of the steering column where the column passes through the firewall. Engine heat hardens this rubber, it cracks, and it falls apart. I've seen water come in through a torn boot, run down the column, and rust the steering U-joint from the inside. The owner felt heavy steering for 2 months, ignored it, until the joint locked up in a turn. Replace the boot, $25 and 15 minutes lying under the dash. Replace the whole column because it locked up, $2,200. What to check? Lie on the driver's floor mat. Look up where the column meets the firewall. If the rubber is crumbling or has holes, replace it this week. If this is making sense, if you're realizing these 7 checks are what separates a GMT-800 that dies at 160,000 miles from one that goes past 300,000, hit that like right now. Because the next three are the ones the text said nobody checks, and number 7 is going to make you uncomfortable. The G80 is the best differential GM ever made, but it dies from neglect faster than any other GMT-800 component. The G80 differential, the one with the automatic locker, uses synthetic 75W90 with friction modifier. If you put in fluid without the additive, the locker starts slipping. It slips, it overheats, and it explodes. I've opened G80s that looked like a grenade went off inside. The owner had changed the fluid, but he used the wrong fluid, no additive. And even with the right fluid, a GMT-800 that tows trailers, boats, or car haulers needs a change every 30,000 miles, not every 60,000 like the manual says. What to check? Rear differential cover. If there's any sign of leaking, or if you don't know when it was last changed, change it now. Fluid with additive, $40. New differential, $2,800. Of all the V8 engines GM ever built, the 5.3 in the GMT-800 has exactly one birth defect: the exhaust manifold bolts. The extreme heat of the first 30 seconds of operation expands the manifold faster than the bolts. Over time, the rear bolts, the two closest to the firewall, snap at the head. First one side, then the other. When you hear that tick, tick, tick in the first 20 seconds after a cold start and the noise disappears once it warms up, that's not a lifter. That's a broken bolt. Leave it unfixed. The exhaust leak burns the gasket, warps the manifold, and eventually cracks the cylinder head itself. What to check? Start the engine completely cold. Open the hood. If you hear a metallic tick, tick, tick in the first 20 seconds that disappears, it's the bolts. Extraction, $200 to $400. Cracked head, because you ignored it, $3,500. This one hurts the most because the owner is doing exactly what GM told him to do, and he's destroying the engine. The GMT-800 manual says 5W30. What the manual doesn't say is that recommendation was written for a 0-mile engine in 2002 to meet government fuel economy targets, the CAFE standards. Today, your engine has 150, 200, 250,000 miles. Internal clearances have opened up. The bearings have wear, and that thin 5W30 slides through the gaps like water. It doesn't build pressure, it doesn't protect. I watched a GMT-800 owner with 200,000 miles switch from 5W30 to 10W40. Oil pressure at hot idle went from 12 psi to 26. The engine tick disappeared in 2 days. If you live in the South in the heat, or your engine has over 120,000 miles, ditch the 5W30. Go to 5W40 or 10W40. It's the difference between the engine dying at 180,000 miles or going past 300,000. What to check? Look at your odometer. If it's over 120,000 miles, switch your oil to 5W40 for moderate climates or 10W40 for hot climates, and watch your oil pressure at hot idle. Below 20 psi is a red flag. 7 checks. 7 things the GMT-800 owner never looks at. And those 7 are exactly what separates the truck that goes to the junkyard at 160,000 miles from the one your grandson is still going to drive. Brake fluid, PCV hose, positive terminal, steering column boot, differential fluid, exhaust manifold bolts, and the oil the manual recommended in 2002 but doesn't work for your engine in 2026. Now tell me, which of these 7 have you already checked? Comment check and the numbers you've done, and if you haven't done any, comment 0 and I won't judge, but go do at least 3 of them this week. If this video saved you money, hit like and subscribe, because every week I bring you what the manuals don't tell you and what dealerships don't want you to know. Next up, the 3 $20 tools every GMT-800 owner should keep in the glove box. And nobody does. Run this through 11 labs. Once you have the audio file and its total length, bring it back here. We'll map out the visual cuts just like we did last time to ensure the pace matches George's delivery perfectly.